Good morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to Ask the Accountant, episode number 116. The date is the 20th of January, which basically means we have two weeks left.
Well, 11 days.
Weeks. Yeah, I was going to say. Shouldn't really.
11 days.
It's where rounding up doesn't really help us, right?
Yeah.
My name is Aaron Patrick, and as always, I am joined with my co-host, with the most, Johann Gory. Johann, tell me, what's your week been? How's it been? How are you feeling? And are you optimistic for the 31st of January deadline?
I've got a basic mathematics issue, if I'm honest.
Well, so we are accountants.
Last week, my team did 23 tax returns.
In 1 week.
In 1 week. Because we're still waiting for information and chasing. This week, so we've got 11 days left to go. I've still got 63 tax returns to do. So if I average that out, that doesn't work. But no, we're getting there. We're relatively, like, the ones that are still to come in are just so simple and easy to sort. We're not worried. And there's some of those 63 are ones that came to us last year, but may not come to us this year. Like, the annual watershedding moment you have where you go, these guys aren't coming back. They just haven't told us. So yeah, no, other than that, all right. Yeah. Busy as always, but good. Enjoying life. Can't complain. Yourself?
I'll be glad when February comes along. I think this is one of those moments where you just want it to be over, don't you? Long weeks, but hey, that's why we're accountants, right? And yeah, we could close our doors and sit on a beach, but we choose not to. So there we are. Hopefully the team and the commenters are all happy as well. Put in the comments how many you've got and how you're feeling for your week to go. We've got Cheryl there. Good morning. Actually, before we even went live. So good morning. Thanks for the prompt. Paul was there. Good morning, Paul. Hope you are doing well. Clive, the QuickBooks accountant, says good morning, lads, all the way from Ireland. So good morning to you too. Oh, we've got actually a topic here that you may be able to wade into. So keep an eye out for that one, Clive. Natasha says good morning. So good morning to you, Natasha. Hope you are doing well. Tim with a C says first. So I think he's implying that he was number one to comment this week after missing last week and getting a slap on the wrist.
Behind here, 4 behind.
4 behind. I mean, fifth's not bad.
On LinkedIn.
Got the figure. It's not bad. Not bad. We'll let you off for that, Tim. Kirsty says, good morning, everyone. Tim says 9 to go for them. So 9 to go on theirs. Paul says on schedule to finish by the end of this week. Fingers crossed for you. Definitely, Paul. That'll be a good one. Dave is all the way from India. So, yep, hope everyone's well and had a great weekend. Very jealous of you being out there, Dave. Hopefully it's all going well for you over there. Cheryl says, can you check if they've been submitted so you can cross them off your list? Can you check if they've been submitted so you can chat them off your list? So yeah, nice one. And then our 24 deadline is November. Different rules over there, Tim. Different rules. I'm not sure I like that. Not sure I like that at all. Right, okay. Yeah, exactly. Right. We'll get through it though, people. We will get through it. We got 2 weeks to go. It's all good. Right. Let's look at the news that we have to talk about this week. We have some exciting news and some potentially controversial news, and let's go through them. So first of all, HMRC has been having a little chat, haven't they? They've been going and opening their things of declaring war and explaining and all this other stuff that's going through. War on MTD, not war on anywhere else. So
I am livid with this announcement timing.
I know, right? I know. I suppose part of it was because it was like everyone's kind of thinking about tax returns, so maybe that's part of it. It's like let's strike while they're on top.
It happened hours after I did an MTD webinar to 400 plus accountants and bookkeepers.
You personally was furious. Yeah.
Timing, guys. Do you know
so
who
let's just quickly go through what the actual announcement was. And it basically, James Murray, who I met twice actually last year at 2 separate events, who's Treasury Minister responsible for HMRC, has confirmed that Sage will provide free MT income tax software, says the Treasury. Oh, interesting. And this definitely starts heating up the MTD software discussion, because hey, it's got to be top of most accountants' priority in February. I'd hope so, like February, March, April. That's got to be the time to start thinking about it. What flag you're going to go with, right? We've said for a long time what we're kind of wanting from the vendors at the moment is which of those flags should we be putting our stick into? Which one should we be climbing up to their mountain and saying, look, this is who I'm going to go with to deliver my MTD solutions. I think you did a really well-attended webinar, didn't you? And I think a lot of people off the back of that have come back kind of far more confident and have at least a plan in mind, right?
Yeah. So the webinar was really good, really successful. We went from a 24% people confident or very confident to a 94% in the space of an hour. So there's politicians out there that would kill for that kind of swing in the figures. But more importantly, in relation to this topic, one of the questions we asked was about what software you're going to use to deliver MTD. And I'm pleased you sat down, Aaron, because you're not going to be happy about this. You need to promise me you're going to keep you calm, and that the anger management sessions are paying off and working out for you, right? Because 49% said Xero. 16% said QuickBooks. 8% said Free Agent. 2% said Sage, and the rest was going to be a combination. We're going to use whatever platform our clients feel best for them.
Yeah. And the combination one definitely rings true, right? I think that's going to be a definite, especially when the MTD is going to be such a broad spectrum. Like you're going to have some potentially quite big sole traders out there that you're going to need a proper, quote unquote, proper piece of software for. And then you're going to have
Should they
smaller,
technically not be on software already because of VAT?
because of VAT. Exactly, right. Yeah. And they'll continue to use it. But in that conversation, I don't know. I assume that conversation isn't what new software you can use, but what software you are going to use, right? So that combination makes sense. But then there's going to be a lot of clients out there never been on software before. This is what the big impact is, that changing of it. It's changing their whole discipline, isn't it? And changing them from probably a paper base to a digital base. That's going to be the biggest problem. So that whole mixture, I think it's completely right. And I think that's, a lot of people will say, oh, you should only go with one and everything else. I think that's realistically going to be the way forward for MTD because it's such a broad brush, right?
Yeah. So
that bit I completely understand. And what was the percentage to them?
So Xero is 49%.
And what about the combination?
That was like 9% or something.
Okay, I'd expect that to be, okay. I was expecting that higher, but go for it.
So it's interesting that it's going to be interesting to see where this announcement, because we didn't have this information. It came out hours after the webinar about Sage.
Yeah.
And in the webinar, and I still stand by this because we don't use Sage in my firm, that we will be promoting Free Agent because when you're doing 50 grand, like if you're doing under 80 grand in income, meaning you're not VAT registered. Yes, I know VAT is 90 grand, but just work with the numbers. You're doing 80 grand or less, then Free Agent's an absolutely brilliant tool for you. And you get RBS, NatWest, or Metal, and you've got both for free.
Yeah.
So not only are we encouraging software that's free, we're encouraging banking that's free, and encouraging those sole traders and landlords that use their own personal bank account improperly to use a dedicated separate account. So in my mind, that's we're encouraging good habits and good routines and good practices there. And we're doing it for free because the other poll we did in the webinar was about pricing and who's going to charge kind of how much per filing on top of their normal tax return. It looks like we're going to see an average between £100 and £200 a year increase in accounting and bookkeeping fees just for filing these returns. Now, there was quite a wide range from people charging nothing extra through to charging a couple of £100 per filing, but the majority sat between £25 and £50 per filing.
Yeah.
If I'm already saying to my client, by the way, your accounting fees have gone up £200, when they're probably already paying maybe £200 a year for a tax return anyway, and then I say to them, oh, and you've got to have software on top, none of which is something they're opting in for and they want, it becomes a really hard sell. So we want to try and make it an easier sell.
Yeah.
Free
100%.
software makes an easier sell. So it's going to be interesting to see how that split of who's got what part of the market goes going forwards. My major concern here is I thought QuickBooks were further ahead than they are, especially in that lower value. Like my clients that come to us and want financial due diligence, they want all of their firms put onto Xero.
Yeah.
Now, these businesses are like £1 million turnover businesses upwards. Xero makes sense because of user permissions. And I've told QuickBooks a number of times their concept of user permissions and how to control them is absolutely ridiculous.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah.
So Xero works for them, even though it's more expensive. But people have, those businesses have often said to me in the past, like, yeah, but we're not your local electrician. We're not your local plumber like they advertise on TV. Why would QuickBooks work for us? And it's like, it would work, but you're right. It's been positioned at the lower end of the market. Yet, accountants and bookkeepers on that webinar, only 16% of them felt it was the right solution for that end of the market, which doesn't really add up in my head.
Yeah. I would say, though, that number's probably skewed because a lot of those, or a good proportion of those, will be ICB. And we know ICB have Xero has a stronghold on them, right? Right or wrongly, but it works for them, right? That is the solution that most ICB members would jump at and go for, because that's the one where they feel like they get the most support from. They've got a lot of influencers in the ICB market who are pushing for it. So you can definitely see that a lot of that is going to be skewed by who you go for. Like if this was a draw poll of, ICAW members, you might get a different one, or ACCA members, you might get a different result. But that's definitely part of it. And we all know that Xero's got their hand. I am really, is concern the right word? I'm very surprised, I suppose, is more the word to use, that there's that bigger jump or that bigger number putting their faith in a product that hasn't even been tested yet. because Xero know that they're going to get burned at this point, haven't even put a beta together for MTD, haven't even shown what that's going to look like, shown any support, shown any, anything outside of it. Because we've said for a long time, right, MTD for us to deliver as accountants is less about the product, because the product, we're confident every product on the market is going to be able to file the solution. At the end of the day, that's a compliance issue, right? It's pressing that button to let's press submit. We're going to have confidence that's going to happen. What we need, though, is the wraparound. What we need as accountants is, how do we deliver that service on an efficient manner, especially with the numbers we're going to be talking about, right? Like, we did like a little straw poll of our clients, like, well, how much would you be willing to pay for this service? They're not going to be paying big sums for this, are they? Like, this is going to be a low value, thing.
It needs to be an efficient workflow.
100%. Yeah. And I feel like, irregardless of how glossy they might make, like in the individual vendors, individual solutions, like how glossy they make the submission and how many tricks and tips and all that sort of stuff they put into the submission side, is almost irrelevant to us. What we need is that extra support, isn't it? We need a really slick way of knowing how many clients we've still got to file at the end of a quarter. Like, that's still up in the air of how's that going to be delivered, because HMRC don't seem to want to tell us. And I know you're doing great work with Engager to try and be at the table so that you can find that information out for us. But if we rely purely on the vendors, we don't know what the answer is going to be, because we've still yet to have that properly from VAT. And we're how many years down the line of MTD VAT now? And we're still waiting, right? So I am really surprised that that's such a stronghold. And it does worry me in the fact that people aren't looking at what the options are, looking at the solutions. I'm not so concerned about the price point, because I feel like the price point will even itself out, right? Yes, whatever you're saving compared to paying for it versus a free solution, you're more than likely going to make up in the time taken, right? I did a client this over the weekend. Normally it's about 500 transactions, 40k worth of hairdressing fees, 20k worth of expenses, sort of things, roughly, like rough figures, about 500 transactions to go through their bank manually. That takes, and it's in front of the TV, so I don't really care. But I sit down for one night, take 2 to 3 hours to get that done, right? probably, if I gave it to a team, maybe more like 4 hours or something, maybe 5. But I know that with the right software, I can do that in half an hour easily, right? So that's the benefit that I'm seeing from there, where I'm trading that time taken to deliver the accounts for, you know, much more robust digital bookkeeping solution that I could then get the time back. So I'm not as worried about it. So I do see there's an opportunity here to maybe go half and half with the client or something like that to kind of make it worthwhile for them in terms of the fee of the price of the solution. What I'm worried about though is there's that blind almost what is it, like just follow the sheep almost mentality that let's all go with Xero or whatever solution we've got 49% to go to there, when they haven't shown yet what that wraparound service is going to be, what they're going to offer us to help us deliver that service. That scares me the most, because I still feel like that's the most important question to answer, right?
I don't know. I can't. I'm of the opinion that we all know roughly what this is going to look like for any software, because it's going to be, I'd like to think, a reflection of the VAT process in that tool.
Yeah.
But
just to pin in that though, don't you feel that from a value point of view, clients value our VAT service because they're almost scared of VAT, right? And there's almost like that for the clients that you pay for. You can, you know, we feel like we can price that at a value that makes sense for us, and it all everyone's happy. The client gets a good service, we get a good fee for it, right? This is a much difficult conversation with MTD
because it generates a tax bill at the end of the process. I think once 100%. We get to quarterly filing for MTD income tax where there's a tax bill generated, it will add the same value that we get from a tax return.
Agreed.
So once that's there, it will make our lives a lot easier from a value proposition point of view. But ultimately, it'll be you do your books, it'll pull it into a screen with your categories, you review it, you download it as a PDF and send it for e-signing for your practice management tool, and then you go back in and press file. I don't think there's too much more they could really do with that. I think the workflows, the efficiencies is actually more in amongst me and my team. How are we going to work with this? Who are we going to assign this work to? Like, is it work that we can assign to more junior staff, because actually it's not generating a tax bill, it's not generating a set of factual figures that we can't change at any point, including in the annual tax return. So actually, could a junior staff member do this, which makes it cheaper for us to deliver? So providing we don't have to go into profit and loss reports and stuff and pull out each figure and enter it manually into a screen and then press file, like, what they can do is fairly minimal. I suppose my question is, if you saw that pie chart that we did and I put on social media, and you're sat in the leadership team at QuickBooks and saw that, would you be worried?
No, because I think long-term wise, MTD is not the be-all or end-all, right? Like there's bigger fish and bigger solutions out there. I think the bit, again, I come back to the bit that I'm worried about is that the community are just so, it's comfortable, right? They're comfortable with Xero because Xero is the dominating market. So their assumption is, well, we'll just run with Xero and Xero will be the right one. And I'm not saying that Xero's the wrong choice for you, but I think that the fact that those firms are obviously not looking elsewhere because Xero haven't showed they're keeping them to their chest, right? Like their MTD offering is very much a case of, right, we'll show you when the time's right. We'll show you when we have confidence that HMRC are going to deliver on their promises and it's going to launch. Because rightly so, and I 100% get this from Xero, why waste R&D on a product that could move? We've seen the damage it's done to other competitors. We've seen everything else, right? So they're doing the right thing. But what I'm scared about or worried about from the community is the fact that they're holding that they're blindly just going with Xero without even considering elsewhere and without even knowing what Xero is going to deliver. Because back to that whole point about, and I know what you're saying, right? Like, you got to look at it from a capacity point of view and how to deliver it. But again, if we compare this to VAT is a much more premium, quote unquote, product. We can charge much more for that product.
And we have to be so much more diligent with it because 100%. It generates a tax bill there and then.
Yeah.
etc. If it's wrong or if it creates any red flags with HMRC, we then have investigations, which is then either costly to the client or costly to us, whichever way we structure that option. So yeah, in time, these quarterly returns will get to that point.
100%. Yeah. And I think that needs to come sooner rather than later, right? That's the incentive, that's the carrot on the stick that we kind of need for this MTD to become a reality, right? For the benefits to come in. Like the benefits is overall, yes, there's going to be pain at the beginning, but if we can digitalize all of our accounting solutions going forward, everyone's a winner. But we've kind of seen that as it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, there's going to be tears along the road, it's going to be bumpy, but ultimately the end goal, everyone's a winner. And I just feel like if we compare again VAT to MTD, we've got so much more budget in a firm to allocate resources to make VAT a valuable service. I just don't see the numbers that we're going to get from MTD or IT as it is now, isn't it? I don't feel like we're going to get anywhere near that level. And I know because we've heard people in the industry, right? Oh, don't worry about what you file, just file anything. And I get like that. There's a lot to back that up. And you're right, until it becomes a payment that's at the end of it, then yeah, ultimately, who cares what you submit?
Yeah. Why can't I file these quarterly returns on my own? I just need a tool that will do it for me.
Exactly.
And then surely they don't want to be paying for that tool. So Free Agent and Sage's free offering is the one to go for.
Yeah. But from a practicing point of view, though, like practicing certificate point of view, so I know that they're going to be hot on this, right? They're going to want controls in place. They're going to want to make sure that you've delivered the service and that when you press submit, you've gone through all the due diligence and everything else that goes through, like the normal, let's be honest, BS that comes with having a practicing certificate, right? So instantly, anyone with a practicing certificate, we're going to have to put so much more resources into delivering this product because we've got the ticks and checks and everything else we've got to go with it, right? And you're right, when it comes to the client, they're going to be really like this is ultimately a cost to them that they're not really wanting to pay because they don't feel like it's justifiable, right? There is no incentive. There's no quarterly payments or anything that's come with it or anything daft like that. Like I feel like even just having quarterly payments is a little bit of an incentive to go, right, you know, you hate that 31st of January tax bill. How about we spread that over the life of it, right? I think a lot of our clients actually,
it would make our jobs a lot easier if we had it.
Yeah, and I think we're going through a generation where direct debits and standing orders is the norm. Yeah, we all just run monthly on how much we can pay. And if we had a quarterly tax payment, I feel like that's going to be better for them. Hey, probably a lot of them will want monthly, right? They'd want you to just be able to pay monthly. They don't have to worry about it, right? Like that is the what we live in at this point in time. So I feel like if we had the incentive, they wouldn't mind. But I know the free software again is an argument, and I get that, but it's not 100% free, right? Because there's still that extra time that client's now going to put into their accounts, right? And but I know for a fact
cheaper to potentially do it that than it depends on the setup. So Kirsty's put in the comments, zero tax is free to file. So presume people are assuming zero MTD, it will be free. But yes, Kirsty, but zero tax is only available to accountants and bookkeepers. It's not available to the end user. So, and for that to come into zero tax, it means you have to have a zero license, which isn't free. Sage is offering a free bookkeeping MTD license.
Yeah.
To then process your books and bank categories. Yeah, all right. It's not going to have all the flashing bells and whistles. It's probably not going to have an asset register. It's probably not going to have loads of features and deep dive reporting and stuff. It's going to be quite high level.
Very, very similar to QuickBooks Self-Employed, we assume, right? That's
I think QuickBooks Self-Employed, zero go before they can that.
Yeah.
That kind of functionality is what we're going to see from Sage here for free. So zero tax is not a free option for your client. It's a free option for the firm because we don't pay for it as a firm. But to get that data into zero tax, it needs to go through a zero license. So that is not free. But yeah, functionality wise, we are expecting something from what we're hearing in line with QuickBooks Sole Trader, Zero Go, that type of thing. So, which for 90% of people being hit by MTD, that's going to be more than sufficient.
I agree. My biggest thing here though, but especially the zero side of things does concern me as well, because they walked away from zero go, right? If they still had zero go, I was one of the few people on this planet who actually saw zero go as a really good thing, right? A really good product. One of the few products I actually really got on with zero. Did a video on it, loved it. Like, yes, it was flaws, and I think the zero community were upset about it because it didn't do X, Y, Z, and I get that. But as a concept, as an opportunity, I thought that was really like clever and smart by it, and I could get behind it. And if they still had that as a product, hopefully by now would have been fixed and the issues ironed out and all that sort of stuff. I understand. I would understand the let's stick with zero mentality, because they had a product that delivers for MTD. I don't feel like that they do. Like, their lowest end product is so restrictive for small businesses. I don't even think it's really designed for an MTD business, right? Like, is it like 5 invoice or whatever the number is? I know, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's a restriction on how many invoices you're allowed and how many this and how many that, which for most business out there, like that hairdresser, for example, like that wouldn't be suitable for them. Like, they'd have to have the size up, whatever the cost point is going to be there. So I do see that, and I get this push for let's go for free software and everything else, and that's fine. But we need that free software to also give us as the accountant the ability to be able to deliver this service efficiently. Because at the moment, I'm privileged that I can take any form of software, I can throw it into my tax production software, my tax preparation software. I can send them a checklist, either via Client Engager that we do, or I can even do it via them, and it populates that solution for me, right? So for some clients, I've sent that Client Engager one out to them and they've just ignored it, right? We come to the end, like we're coming to crunch time now. I send it via this software and they're filling out the return practically for me at this point, right? I wouldn't use it for everyone, but for these clients that I'm struggling to get through to them to get it to me early, well, I force them then, if they want their tax return done, they use this solution and they will fill most of that tax return out for me, right? And I feel like that's the bit that we're missing, because if we're going down one route, whatever flag we go up on our mountain and we put our flag into, this is the one I'm going to use now. Yeah, that quarterly return I don't think is that big an issue, other than the time and the having to and resource that. I think the biggest issue is going to be doing the final tax return, because I've been in MTD, right? I've done it. I've been there. Got T-shirt in MTD beta. My personal tax return is one of the messiest ones I have to do every year, because I'm having to jump from software to software to software, and it's not all coherent and it's not all talking to one another. In fact, I don't know at the end of a tax year how much I've submitted from MTD purposes. I'm having to start again because there's no history of that yet. That's not been built. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a half-baked product because it's not live. So fair enough. But imagine that times how many tax returns you've got to do in a year. That's scary, because that is time lost, isn't it?
It is, but you are looking at a beta version of a tool that, like, that history bit, that should be there by the time we go live.
Hopefully.
April 26th. Like, so I don't think it's kind of apples and oranges. But
we have been burnt before where it's not been live, right?
Yeah, we have, yeah. But yeah, I think it's just very interesting that the most expensive product on the market is by far the most favorite. The product that's been targeting this market for, like, builders, electricians, they've been advertising to that market for years, and the professionals aren't on board with it. And that Sage is just so far behind. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see what Sage pick up as a market share going forwards with this free offering from HMRC.
Yeah.
And also, like, Free Agent's got this huge opportunity ahead of them, because they're going to have Free Agent directly marketed to every single RBS, NatWest, and Metal customer, going, look, you've heard of MTD it's coming. We're telling you about it in your banking emails, and here's a free solution. If your bank's telling you about it and then you've got this free solution, why would you shop around?
But I think the threat there, though, isn't Free Agent. It's your Starlin and your Revolut and your Monzo and your Tide customers not having any software and just filing it all through their bank, right? Because They're already there.
Then those people are probably not
Freemium
people
model.
that we're working with. They're probably independent
True.
people that are quite happy doing their own thing.
But when they do
Like,
need
remember,
our help,
accountants and bookkeepers only file a fraction of the number of self-assessment tax returns that get
100%.
filed every year. Like, and it's not a dominating fraction, from what I understand. Like,
Yeah.
it's a small fraction. So,
but if you think about it though, like we still get people inquiring and wanting our help throughout the year that never needed us before. They got a mortgage inquiry, or it's suddenly become more complicated, whatever it's going to be. Now it's not too bad to take over, right? Because maybe they've been filing via the HMRC portal, maybe they haven't, or whatever they've been doing. It's quite easy for us to be able to pick up the pieces and deliver that service. If they've just been using the bank and their banking app to do the thing, that feels like that's going to be a big ask to be able to pick up that piece, right?
it is, if the banks don't get on board and give accountants and bookkeepers access.
They don't want to,
which
do
they probably won't. But
no.
Yeah, like I just, it's interesting that in the accounting and bookkeeping industry, the split is what it is.
Yeah.
And when you look at the sole traders and the landlords who are going to potentially do their own thing, the people that are going to have the biggest mailing lists here are HMRC, who are promoting Sage.
Yep.
And Metal, RBS, and NatWest, who are promoting Free Agent.
Yeah.
Free of charge. Like, they're promoting them without any advertising costs to Sage or Free Agent.
Yeah.
QuickBooks is going to have to spend a lot of money to get the people that do their own tax affairs on board in advertising. And they're trying to convince accountants and bookkeepers that their option's better than a zero option. QuickBooks have got a lot of hard work on both sides of the fence to do.
They do, but at the same time, you've got to think, like, the freemium option is definitely not a place I don't think they should even consider. I think there's enough in that market to do the freemium ones, but whatever, like that's fine. That's done and dusted. And I don't know, like it will definitely work for some, won't work for others. That's fine. But the argument against zero, I don't know if I think that's a short-term solution, right? Like, just get the product better and up to scratch, and it is a better experience. QuickBooks Sole Trader, in theory, is a much better product for MTD than anything Xero has to offer by a long way, right? In terms of deliverable and everything else. Again, you're looking, instead of doing a 4.5 hour set of accounts and tax return and everything else for a small hairdresser, it's half an hour. Like, that's huge savings, right? Zero bookkeeping time, all that sort of stuff, because AI gets involved, and we don't like it, but AI will be that dominant force going forward, right? I just don't know what Xero have planned to combat that. And I think that's the bit that Xero need to figure out, because if they don't, like, the next topic we've got here is, we wanted to talk about the fact that HMRC have also not only talked about MTD and everything else, but they've really knuckled down on AI, don't they? They want the UK to be an AI powerhouse going forward, a super state.
The government wants us to be industry leading, world leading for AI.
Loads of incentive will be thrown at the place. There'll be, there'll be places where you'll be able to get tax breaks and R&D claims, and there'll be all sorts thrown at this, right? So this is a great opportunity for us to be there, and accounting was part of that push, right? Like the idea of having a better financial thing going forward. And I think, to me, that highlights 100% that the next race from accounting, bookkeeping solutions is, we already seen it, but it's AI, right? That is going to be it. It's going to be the next cloud accounting. Cloud accounting was that big shift in the way that we deliver our services, and completely changed the way that we deliver, and set up some really great opportunities for us as accountants. AI is going to be that next thing and that next big push. And if that's the case, then maybe it's short-sighted about 49% now versus, because we've seen how quickly that changed, right?
Yep.
Like, how long ago was it? Was dominated by Excel and Sage, Line 50 and all those ones, right? They were the dominating force. Fast forward a couple of years, or a decade, and we're at a completely different landscape, right? And that'll happen again. Who knows what the landscape's going to be in a decade time, but we can all kind of assume in tinfoil hat moment think that it's going to be down to AI. And there's only a few of them talking about AI at the moment. So isn't that the most important bit from an MTD point of view of like back to that, what flag we're going to go down? Should it be what service and solutions that can do from an AI point of view, as opposed to what, what maybe or maybe not from a cost point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I always say to everyone, like, if you're going to take on new software, invest in the software that you're as it is today, not as it might be in the future, because we've all been sold enough crap in the time, or dead end stuff in the time, that this is the dream and none of it comes to fruition. So that when I'm looking at the products at the moment, as you say, Xero haven't delivered anything in regards to this is what our MTD product looks like. So for me right now, that's off the table.
Yeah.
QuickBooks has, but I'm not happy with Sole Trader as a product.
But why though? When it's like,
I just,
ultimately it's the best on the market for sole traders at this point in time.
I disagree. Whereas I've seen the free agent videos of what their MTD is looking like, and their self-employed sole trader package and partnership package is far superior to QuickBooks Sole Trader, which is
based on what though?
Based on using both. But I'm now interested to see what Sage are offering, because they've got a free, because it all boils back down to this whole, we need to try and deliver this as efficiently as possible for as minimal amount of increase as possible for the clients, because they don't see the value, like you've said. Is freemium Sage going to be efficient? We don't know, but it's one to watch out for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm currently basing it on what's available on the market today, and I'm constantly reassessing that. Yeah. So I'm constantly looking at, right, they've made an announcement. How does that impact my choices?
Okay.
Ultimately, we are going to be a combination business.
Yeah.
Like, we aren't going to be one or the other. We are going to be a combination business. I doubt Xero is going to be involved in that combination business at the MTD level. Like, we've got loads of clients on it, big clients, but we're not filing MTD for them through that, because these are limited companies. We have lots of clients on QuickBooks who will be included in MTD. So that will be the solution for them, because we're not going to move them for the sake of moving them. But then for the new ones that aren't on any software, we're like, well, and that are, upset by having to pay more and do more work, then free agent or potentially Sage is the option for that. Now, personally, I think free agent is a better option, because it gets you free banking and it encourages better financial behavior through having separate bank accounts and stuff. And the deep link between free agent and metal, that promotes really good money behavior, with money going into pots, etc., etc. If I don't want my client to be in free agent faffing around, they don't have to be. They can be raising invoices through metal. Announced last week was Metal are going to start charging £4 a month for a premium product where you can raise quotes through Metal Bank. Those quotes will go into free agent, convert into invoices when you convert them into invoices. But again, the client's going to be able to do that from the Metal banking app. So that whole, I don't really want them in there faffing about, could be achieved quite nicely, and is being achieved with some of our clients. So yeah, I mean, Xero for us has shot themselves in the foot, because we've still not even seen a video of what it's going to look like, whereas QuickBooks and Free Agent have demonstrated it for us in video form of what it's going to look like. But with all these different factors to consider, at the moment, we're leaning to Free Agent for any new customers that aren't on software already.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, the banking option's amazing if you get access to it, right? I mean, I got personally declined to have a Metal account. It took me 3 months to go through the hoops to say no. So there's still that aspect of it. So it'll only work if you're eligible for it and all that sort of stuff, right? But 100%, like I love the whole integration between the bank and the software. It's something we've earned for a long time, right? Like that is a huge benefit.
Always said that it's not just our job to file tax returns, it's our job to help financially educate our clients
100%.
to get into better financial behavior.
Yeah.
And that kind of banking app does that nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. We have spent 40 minutes talking about MTD.
But before you move on, though, like let me justify why we're going the opposite ways, because
Go for it.
very, very, very similar to what you're saying now. It's about what the product can do now. Let's not be sold the dream. And I know now that one product for 500 transactions will take me, I don't know, maybe 2 hours to do in Free Agent or whatever the opposite solution is going to be, as opposed to 10 minutes in QuickBooks. That's where we're seeing with it, right? That's where we see the benefits for us to.
So I think we need to do some benchmarking here, some proper controlled benchmarking, because I would disagree with you on that time it takes to do those categorizations in Free Agent. I find it very quick and efficient and very accurate in its assumptions.
But you're still manually having to do it.
Not if I created rules and stuff. I don't.
You've still got to create the rules in the first place, right? Like from day one, like take on a client. No rules anymore. Not with AI.
That's the point, is that actually right? Live today?
Yeah. Been using it the last for what, 6 months now. So it's there. It's done. It's in product. It's there, right? That's what I'm basing my criteria on. What have we today? Yeah, go future. Hopefully there'll be similar solutions in all of them, right? But at the moment, there's only one where I can play with it and actually get the results and get those savings now. That's what we're basing ours on.
Just because I find the opposite issue with QuickBooks. Like my own firm's QuickBooks banking reconciliation, like processing transactions in there, it constantly forgets what I used to like. Inform Direct, it changes what it categorizes that on a daily basis.
Yeah, but you're talking about QuickBooks Online, right?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
This QuickBooks Sole Trader. Yeah.
So, right. Okay.
Yeah. Because we're comparing the MTD products, right? And that's what we're basing that on now. That's where it's coming from. Is how does that work and how does that fit into the workflows? And again, like my benefit at the moment is that I can then throw it to whatever tax production software I want, and it just works. I don't have that at the moment with all of the competing software. I think that's where, again, Xero Go did really well at, because it was just the same experience. It was your Xero experience, but just far simplified. And I don't know what the MTD products going forward from the other competitors are going to be. We definitely know what the Xero one is, right? But they have to be built on the same ecosystem, same platform. We can't have a separate area to go into like QuickBooks Self-Employed was for a long time. Like that doesn't work. That can't be the solution. We need it to work with everything that we've got, so that one day in that world where we finally get the APIs connecting to our practice management solution, for example, we're getting that real-time information coming through, because that's the important bit to me. That's where I see the only way we're going to deliver the service, because ultimately the only person who's winning out of this MTD at this moment in time are your Mazumas of the world. They're the ones who are going to dominate, aren't they? Because they can build a product that will be efficient for not only the client, but for the accountant. At the moment, it's one or the other. That's what we're always banging heads against each other, aren't we? Of like, do we make it really simple for the accountant to deliver the service, or do we make it really simple for the client? Like, this doesn't seem to be a solution at the moment that can do both.
Yeah.
At free, definitely. Cool. All right. Let's just make sure we get the comments.
Yeah, I've got one in Instagram.
So you can go through Instagram one first. Go for it.
LMO bookkeeping. IMO bookkeeping. She's Free Agent and Xero too for my clients. There's no comparison between the two in terms of support and keeping you in loop with the roadmap. Free Agent all the way for her.
That's interesting.
I think Free Agent's going to grow well out of this whole MTD thing.
Yeah, but where's Xero's roadmap? I know we're out of the loop, right?
I think that's what she's saying, is that you don't see Xero's roadmap.
But there must be one somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Not public,
or is it like there's a the equivalent of a group that they have a hardcore
like
group,
an accounting council.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there'll be reasons for that, right? And this isn't me bashing Xero, but surely they need to let people know that what XeroCon was all about. Yeah. Get down there, and maybe it was announced there and it just hasn't come public knowledge yet, or at least people aren't shouting about it. But for people to get those imaginary flags, surely that roadmap's crucial for them going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And We Balance Bookkeeping have just said on Instagram, was going to be QuickBooks for me, but after this podcast, definitely looking at Free Agent.
There we are. There we are. Well, we made one positive change.
Bloody influencing people.
I've got one message on Instagram, but it's QuickBooks focus. So Project Games, if you don't mind, I'll come back to you on Instagram about the loan situation and where to categorize loans. Cool. Let's go through some of the ones we've got elsewhere. I can't see Sage building a full bookkeeping option for free, says Paul. My thought, it will be a filing bridging option like we have for that. No, I feel like it's a freemium option, isn't it? It's
yeah, I think you're wrong there, Paul. And thought, it's going to be QuickBooks is sole trader, Free Agent's self-employed, Hammock's landlord solution. Like, it will have the ability to categorize and stuff like that without any issues. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles and all your in-depth reporting, but you don't need it at that level.
I'm sure we've got faith to say that we would imagine, again, tinfoil hat moment, that it will connect directly with Sage accounts and everything else goes.
Yeah.
You kind of you'd hope, Sage, they know the accounting industry enough not to drop that ball, right?
Yeah, and are they? I suppose the question is: are Sage envisaging us accountants using this, or are they envisaging just end users using it? But even so, I think Sage have put so much focus on that accounting environment that they've got now, where you can go to go proposal, auto entry, payroll, all of it's in there. That I'm sure they're going to build it so it will just link into that for you, and then you can go into the client's license and press file if that's what you need to do.
Yeah, and maybe I'm actually sharing my ignorance there, because I keep talking about connecting to the greater ecosystem, but MTD was designed that you don't connect to a greater ecosystem, wasn't it? It's designed that whatever product you've been paying for on a monthly basis, you then file your end of year tax return by that, which I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know. Like, we've got to see the solutions, right? But imagine though, if you are a multi solution practice, imagine you've got clients where you file some on Xero, some on Sage, some on QuickBooks, some on Free Agent. That won't work either, will it? Let's be honest, because filing tax returns have so many different complications of, what about if they've got a capital gain one year and they don't the next? You know what I mean? Like, that's the bit where
I think it'll work from a quarterly filing point of view, but the SA 100, the annual income tax return, is going to be a pig.
But this is what I'm saying. That the whole idea of the scope of MTD is you don't go elsewhere.
Yeah,
you file it in there, and that's the bit that scares me, because I don't know. We lose so much efficiency if we're having to do it that way. Sam turned up. So hello, Sam. Good morning to you. To tinfoil hat, but if a client doesn't process bank feeds, it will be uncat login all and file an MTD. Sorry, I'm sleep deprived at this point in time, so apologies for butchering that. But yeah, look, it's got to
HMRC aren't going to tolerate that for long. If HMRC seeing you're sending everything uncategorized, then it's not going to be. They're not going to tolerate that for long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Getting sole traders to set up separate bank account is hard, let alone doing it in MTD. But I think it's going to become an absolute.
MTD is going to help us to do this. I think it's a good vehicle for that.
We all made that mistake with Pixie too. Exactly.
A tool that wasn't ready. Yep.
Yeah. HMRC focus is on giving free software to the consumer. Do you think Sage will provide a solution that doesn't have links to accountants? I mean, we've discussed this already, but yeah, again, I feel like
actually their focus isn't on free solution. HMRC originally said they're going to scrap the promise to deliver a free solution.
Because they were going to build their own, weren't they?
Literally, it came out of the blue on Thursday when they were cross-examining someone from the Treasury in Parliament, that this announcement came out. Like, none of us were expecting this. So HMRC weren't worried about delivering a free tool. They said we're scrapping that promise. It's only because Sage have stepped in and said we will create a free solution that they've now honoured that promise by default. So I think if Sage are doing this, I think they're going to nail it. I think they will have it linked to the accountants and the bookkeepers to be able to just go, like if I go into QuickBooks or Xero or Sage and I want to go to ABC Limited's accounts and bookkeeping, I can go into that now just from my central login. I think Sage will do exactly the same thing. Like they're not daft. They know that's how it's going to need to work, surely.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Susan says QuickBooks is terrible at guessing transactions. Oh, no one's perfect. No one's perfect. But it is much better going forward. Victoria says, morning, chaps. Good morning, Victoria. And Chris, Mr.
Downing's in the room.
Also, not news. Our intention has not wavered since our announcement supporting free back in April 2023. So it's not new news. So yeah, it is to us, but yeah.
And he's also said, yep, we're not daft. So yeah, they're going to build it that way. Like I've said, yeah.
Well, at least our tinfoil hat moments are correct today.
Yeah.
Paul says, I built my taxi software on free promise. Oh, that's good. And like taxi people and stuff like that are the ones who are going to be most affected, right? They never had to worry about anything like this before. They're probably more than likely going to be hit by this. And we've got to find solutions. Again, the Mazuma worlds are the ones who are going to do the most out of this, I'd imagine.
Definitely. We Balance Bookkeeping on Instagram just ask, how are we planning to tackle mixed incomes with property and self-employed? So in my firm, we're going to be using probably Free Agent for the self-employed bit if they're not on software already, because that gets them, it's free with the software, with the bank. But you've got lots of options actually for the landlords. You've got Hammock, which is best in class for that. And I'm interested to see what Hammock and Sage do together, because Hammock and Sage have been partnered for a while. And it'll be interesting to see if those figures can come in from Hammock into Sage, and along with the self-employed income from Sage, and see what happens there. Hypothetical would be quite a cool idea.
Yeah. Well, again, this is talking about from the beta. This is where it gets tricky, right? Because the beta, we were promised that this is just going to be API links going back and forth, and the source of truth should be HMRC, right? So the idea was, it doesn't matter what software you use, it's all going to post to HMRC, and then whatever software you're going to file your end of year just grabs that in, and you've already got like the starting points all set out for you, right? Your rental incomes come in, you're self-employed, whatever. That doesn't seem to be the case at this point in time. So at the moment, the recommendation is to keep it all on one platform. So
yeah, well,
which I don't see how that could work.
QuickBooks launched their landlord solution in the end.
Yeah,
did they launch it and then pull it again?
They launched it, but it wasn't a landlord solution, right? It was a change of
terminology. So we've got Hammock as a standalone, best in class for landlords. Like my landlord clients that use Hammock won't shut up about it. It's actually quite irritating now. Free Agent have got their own landlord solution. Again, not as much so Hammock's got Hammock is a landlord solution because it brings in like valuations of properties. It looks at all your different stats that a landlord wants to see. Whereas Free Agent and QuickBooks, they've got landlord solutions, but it's more of a change of terminology of the chart of accounts than anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Sage and Hammock partnered a couple of years back with what looked like a clear intention that Hammock was going to be Sage's answer to landlords' challenges. So yeah, there's plenty of options out there. It's just a case you need to do a bit of research and work out which one's going to be right for your clients. And
we need to lobby HMRC to sort their act out, right? Like we can't have a world where we have to be forced on one platform for all aspects of a client's income. That's never going to work, is it? Like that is not a viable option to go, right, well, because this side of your business is QuickBooks, for example, then everything has to stay on QuickBooks. We need to have that flexibility to go find the right solution for our clients for the right bit. And I think that's the bit that no one's really talking about, no one's really pushing for, but we need them to sort themselves out. And I get it, right? Like the assumption is it'll all be set for the launch, but we still don't have that for MTD. It's MTD VAP. So
also, though, in HMRC's defense, some of the disappointment accountants and bookkeepers face with MTD VAT, and the potential efficiencies that could be gained are actually available, and the softwares just haven't done anything with it. So, for example,
you found yourself that it's really difficult to do, right?
But no, it's not that bad. Like it's just not been done. So, for example, you can get MTD agent authorization for VAT, and you have been able to for 5 years. No one's ever built it. Engage are in the process of certifying their build with HMRC, so it goes live.
But it's not an instant thing, right? Like it's taken you X amount of time, whatever the time frame is, but it wasn't an overnight build, right?
No, it wasn't an overnight build, but it wasn't a huge build either. It was just delayed for different priorities.
Yeah.
And then waiting for HMRC to go through the motions with us.
Yeah.
But why has no one else done it in 5 years? Inform Direct have got the ability to link to MTD VAT and check when you last filed and stuff like that. So that is possible. So why have practice management tools not done that in the past? That we're getting ready to look at doing stuff like that at Engager, but Engager's 2 years old. What about all the ones that have been there for 5+ years? Why have they not done it? Actually, HMRC get a lot of bad rep for not building the right APIs and stuff, but actually, in some cases, the APIs are there. The data is there to be fetched. We just haven't actually got any softwares building into it.
Yeah, but I feel like there's never been an incentive from HMRC either, right? Like,
oh no, but we've discussed this in the past. Like, you want people on beta, pay them, but you know, HMRC aren't going to do that.
But the incentive could be that you come knocking on the door, for example, and saying, look, you want to try this for the first time, or at least get this live for the first time. HMRC should be going, right, well, here's a support package for you to deliver that for it, right? I'm not talking about us personally, I'm talking about you guys, right? You should get the incentive to deliver that, because that's going to encourage people to use it more. And like the return on investment is huge.
Turn on their softwares, their own solution servers and stuff, never mind anything else. They're over budget.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, that's the whole point. It's that what HMRC failed to see each time is they keep wanting to deliver these digital solutions, but they don't incentivize the actual software to do it. And then
the actual delivery is outside of their remit, and they don't incentivize anyone who can actually deliver it.
And all it needs to be is extra support, or a dedicated person the other end who will help you get the APIs links and all that. That's all they need. We're not talking, give you a tax break.
Sounds like they've got someone. We're in talks with someone. The person that's doing the testing with us and checking that we're working fine seems to be the person that we need to be talking to. And now we're talking to him. Life's a lot easier.
But you had to go out your way to find it, right?
Find a way of doing it, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they should have come to you for this. This should have already been look, we know you deliver practice management solution to accountants. There's this cool feature that we think will benefit the accountants and help them deliver a better service. But that will never happen.
Chris has confirmed that the free Sage offering in the that was announced last week with HMRC will be a full bank feeds, OCR, receipt capture, integration into compliance, etc. Fully set. So it's going to be like QuickBooks' sole trader. It's going to be like free agent self-employed. It is a fully functional tool that is free.
Yeah, excellent. And assume there as well, Sage Copilot involved. That's where the future's going, right? Like that's the beauty of it that's there. Awesome. Right. Well, we went through 2 of our
Did we go through 2 topics or just one?
1.5.
Join us next week to find out what we missed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and I think Clive's already gone, but we were hoping to talk about Bright Books, but we will leave that for next week. Right. Johann, what's you got planned for this week? You said you're off to London, aren't you? You were saying off
London tomorrow and Wednesday for some meetings. So yeah, I mean, silver lining, get a load of tax returns done on the train.
You have that kind of Wi-Fi?
Hotspot on your phone. It's that I don't know what the issue is with the West Coast, but the East Coast's phone signal is phenomenal. I never drop a signal. Great.
That's what you want. That's what you want.
What you need. But and then back to the office and more tax returns. Yourself?
London's end of the week, so Thursday, Friday for myself for meetings, and just need to get my tax returns done. I've actually personally completed all mine, so it's about helping the team, etc., and also the PNCs that are coming through thick and fast. So let's see how many we get to get through and get done, and move them along. So looking forward to it. And yes, while I'm on the train, I will try to do tax returns, but my I doubt it. Yeah. Yeah. It's a tricky one. Even with my new fancy 5G laptop that can go both 5G and Wi-Fi and decide which ones it's going to go for and all that sort of stuff. Well, not. I don't feel like that's going to happen. But when I get off the train, I've got plenty of time to do some more there. Well, then, everyone, that is it. That is the end of Ask the Accountant for this particular week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for everyone who's commented and liked and all that sort of stuff. Really appreciate it. Very lively lot this morning, and hopefully it's given you some incentive for the rest of the week. So my name is Aaron. It's been Johann as well, and we will see you this time next week for another exciting episode of
the final countdown.
Yeah, 1 week to go next week, isn't it?
5 days to go next week.
Scary, isn't it? Scary. All right, we will see you all next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.